are Pro Cannabis Media.
Hi, everyone. Welcome again to another special edition of In the Weeds with Jimmy Young. This time back where I belong, in my studio, in our home base just out of Boston, Massachusetts, in Wellesley, Massachusetts. This is our regular In the Weeds podcast and video interview that we do every week. We ask you to like, share, and subscribe. It's also available on all those audio podcast distribution networks out there, your iTunes, your Spotify's, and all the other biggies that are out there. But we also, of course, create a video interview for your enjoyment, and you can watch that on any of our video distribution networks, like our own website, Pro Cannabis Media, our Roku channel, PCM TV, Apple apps, that too is PCM TV. And of course, your YouTubes, your Facebooks, and pretty much everywhere else that you can get any kind of video on demand. This week, we're very excited to talk with the Jewish sauce boss. Yes, that's what Will Edelstein calls himself. He's out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he joins us on the show this week, and we're so excited to talk with him. Will and I met at the New England Cannabis Convention this past weekend down in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and I was so intrigued with Will that I decided to immediately reach out to him and ask him to join the cause here at Pro Cannabis Media. And first up, of course, is a guest on In the Weeds. So Will, welcome to the Pro Cannabis Media family, and welcome to In the Weeds.
Jimmy, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
How the hell did you ever come up with the Jewish sauce boss? You knew that was going to be the first question. And I love the Star of David you wear with the little cannabis leaf in the middle. I must say that was a unique design, and it caught my attention immediately. So tell me a little bit about the Jewish sauce boss, what you do as a consultant for the medical marijuana community in Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. Yes, Jewish Sauce Boss is my cannabis brand. And the essence of Jewish Sauce Boss is cannabis to me is a very spiritual plant. It allows you to tap into a lot of different areas of your life. And the spiritual component for me has a huge tie-in to me being Jewish. So the Jewish part is the very spiritual essence of cannabis and the whole concept of being a Jew. And then sauce was the words my friends and I used in college to talk and communicate about cannabis without anyone knowing we were talking about cannabis. So the sauce was the weed. And we would always be like, yo, we got the sauce, or yo, who's got the sauce today? Or like, yo, where are we getting the sauce? And then I love hip hop. You know, it's a big part of my life. It's you know, it's a lot of the music I grew up on. And, you know, sauce and boss are synonymous with hip hop culture. If you listen to the lyrics and the songs, having the sauce and being the boss, like it just flows. So over the years, just thinking and ideating, you know, I said it out loud and I was like, wow, that actually sounds pretty awesome. And so Jewish Sauce Boss was born out of my love of, you know, honoring my culture and being spiritual, talking about cannabis in a specific way, and, you know, using the sauce and having the sauce and, you know, being a boss. And, you know, really it just started to flow, and I showed up in my community and called myself Jewish Sauce Boss, and it caught people's attention. And the reason I did it is to change the stigma of cannabis and to show up like this with this brand, with, you know, this type of, I guess, way I speak my truth, and it says it without even saying it. So you know what you're going to get. It allowed me to like go and just dive into this and never look back. And, you know, 4 years later, I get to, you know, be at an amazing event, you know, the Nikon convention, and, you know, look to my right and meet someone like you and have you react a certain way to the brand and to, you know, my vibe and, you know, what I'm putting out to the world. That's everything to me, because whether someone judges it, loves it, hates it, likes it, laughs at it, makes them smile, as long as it makes them feel something, then I'm doing the right thing, because that's all that matters to me. And at the end of the day, my overarching mission in my life is to change the stigma of cannabis. And I believe that the brand I've built, Jewish Sauce Boss, has the ability to help with that initiative.
That's great. What a great opening statement. And you have to promise me one thing. I'm one of the most painfully unhip guys you'll meet because I'm 64 years old and I grew up in the 60s and 70s with the San Francisco
Mhm.
Sound and Woodstock and the Allman Brothers and all this. Enlighten me at some point, not on this show, but promise me you'll enlighten me a little bit to the hip hop culture because I respect all diversity. In fact, I actually believe the plant brings us together. And even at that event, the after party at NECAN down in Atlantic City, it brought different types of people together with a common cause. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about the plant. And especially if you use it responsibly and respect the medicinal qualities that the plant brings to the plate. So you're up for that hip hop exposure for me? Yes, a little lesson.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, the hip hop community really put cannabis on its back and pushed it forward throughout the history and the years. And if you look at the current market and the current landscape we're in, the most successful, the most well-known cannabis entrepreneur is a hip hop artist who
Snoop Dogg.
No, it's his name is
I told you I was unhip. Okay, I told you.
He might be by money and deals, but in the space, doing it, touching the plant, being a part of it. Burner, who owns the brand Cookies,
I know that.
they just opened a store in Massachusetts.
That's right.
And there was a great seminar at the NECAN convention where they talked about the legacy and the legal side of cannabis, and how when you go from legacy to legal, building the brands, having a hand and a foot in the culture, understanding the people who love this plant, it really changes the game. So you see the tie-in every single day within the cannabis community, and you see it with someone who stayed true to what they believed in, built a brand, found the right team, and did the right shit. And now he's here, and he's one of the most successful businessmen in the cannabis space. And he did it the way he wanted to, and found the right people to make it happen. So
right.
Yeah, hip hop and cannabis are tied in together as deep as could be.
Yeah, I think that's great. And again, I had an opportunity 2 years ago to go to Canex in Jamaica,
Oh,
and
wow.
I got to interview a Rastafarian, and the 10-minute conversation that I had with the guy has completely enlightened me to the spirituality of the plant. And, you too embrace the spirituality of the plant because it does bring people together. It's, and then you look at what we've come through as a nation, as a society, in the whole cannabis movement right now. Over the last 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, we've been cooped up. We've been talking to people on Zoom, and now we're back meeting people face to face. Hopefully, most of us have been vaccinated, okay? And we're able to get back to the socialization that is part of the cannabis movement. And that's what came through to me. But the spirituality of the Rastafarian, who really believe that this is why God put this plant on earth. People are now starting to be enlightened about the medicinal qualities, about the fact that it brings people together, about the fact that the hemp product can actually reduce our carbon footprint, and how important that can be towards climate change. You see all the same things that I've experienced over the last few years, right?
Yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, I started my company in 2017, and that was right before the medical marijuana program in Pennsylvania, went in full effect.
Mhm.
They legalized medical marijuana in 2016, and then 2018, our first dispensaries open.
I think it's
But
decriminalized because they use the legalization term for adult use, which we'll get to in a little bit later about what's going on in the legislature in Pennsylvania. But it's decriminalized, and you have a vibrant medical marijuana program in Pennsylvania. Accurate?
in Philadelphia, the city, it's a decriminalization.
Right. Okay.
In
Right.
Philadelphia. In Pennsylvania, it's as illegal as anything.
Really?
Ever anywhere else. Yes, we have a medical marijuana program. We don't have decriminalization across the state. In 2020, we had over 20,000 people arrested for low-level cannabis offenses in Pennsylvania, while having almost 400,000 to 500,000 medical marijuana patients. So when you're in Pennsylvania, a lot of people don't get it. No one really understands it. When you leave a major metropolis like Philadelphia or Pittsburgh or State College, Pennsylvania, because I went to Penn State University.
Yep.
Outside of those areas, it is as conservative and old mindset, and they don't like change, and no one wants to shake their base, and no one wants to do anything different. And that's the way it is. So for me to hear a GOP lawmaker, assemblyman, whatever they are within the body of government that they, I believe, work for the people, and don't listen to them, it's just another guy talking to get a headline. It's just another guy making a statement to hopefully get behind a movement that he doesn't give a shit about and only cares about getting more votes. That is all they care about. Because today in Pennsylvania, if the cameras were off, if it was just all the people who make the choices and the decisions, they're all for legalization. It's not even a debate when it's behind closed doors, but when it's front facing, and when you have to serve your interests, and when you have to say the right things, and when you have to put on the suit and do all the things you got to do, then no, cannabis is this, it's that, it's the gateway drug, it's going to ruin your life. It's all the bullshit we've heard for forever. So forgive me, I don't get excited about a politician saying anything about cannabis in Pennsylvania until there's an actual movement of politicians that want to get together, sit down at the table, and discuss this. And we do have a great politician who's pro cannabis in Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, who's running for state senate, who's galvanizing the cannabis community, who, for whatever you think about him, is doing good work. He's putting his feet on the ground. He's in there and doing the things that need to be done. So I pray every single day that we have legalization come to us in Pennsylvania, because we still have people in jail for what people are making millions of dollars for. We still have a program in Pennsylvania that is unattainable to be a part of as a businessman unless you have millions of dollars and all the connections in the world. And we just really need change to happen. We really need it to happen. We need to stop talking. We need to take the actions. So the talk is great. I get excited, and I'm fired up to talk about anything you want, my brother.
So the headline that reaches my email this morning from Marijuana Moment, which is a great subscription.
Phenomenal.
Tom Angel does a great job. Senator Mike Regan, Republican with a law enforcement background, is filing a marijuana legalization bill. He chairs a key committee with jurisdiction over law enforcement issues. A lot of people in that state think, based on this article, that this is perhaps the most promising development in the legislature because of the situation of that state that you're in, and that battle between the old school and the new school, or whichever school you went to, besides the Penn State University in Happy Valley. Linebacker you, after all, the former sportscaster knows that's linebacker you. Okay, trust me, I know that. But you're a little skeptical because you've seen this before. And you're tired of it. You want to see change. You want to see continuity. Judge Clarence Thomas talking about the federal conflict in federal laws, and here you are in Pennsylvania. You've got the city of Philadelphia with decrim, and the rest of the state still putting people away for small possession of cannabis. It makes absolutely no sense in any state, and especially now when you've got the opportunity and a forum in Philadelphia and in the state of Pennsylvania where you can actually espouse these things. Obviously, I feel your passion to get this thing done. I see this as perhaps a really good sign. You're a little skeptical because you're in the community, right, Will?
This very well could be the best thing said by a politician about cannabis ever in Pennsylvania. Like, that's cool. Like, I'm really excited about it, but let's do the work. Like, what is it going to take? How many people need to write a bill? How many people need to bring a bill? How many bills need to be written? Let's talk to the people who know what to do. Let's come up with the right ideas. let's formulate the right framework, and then let's take the right actions to implement it. And we're seeing it done in states right next to us, New York and New Jersey, even though a lot of things take way longer than you expect, they're in motion. Even if it seems like nothing's moving, it's moving at a snail's pace, it's in motion. New York and New Jersey have done something right with legalization. We in Pennsylvania continue to do the wrong thing by most people, because it was astounding, that statistic, that 20,000 plus people were arrested in Pennsylvania for these low level offenses. And it ties back into the things we have done as a business, where we've worked with lawyers and we worked with companies to utilize the initiatives we have to expunge records in Pennsylvania, because there's ways and opportunities and initiatives like an expedited expungement program in Pennsylvania to get your record clear. And these are the things we have to talk about. And this is where I get excited about bills coming out and the headlines, being, exciting, and the stories being written, but it's just taking too long. We have a governor and a lieutenant governor that are screaming, legalize, please legalize, please legalize. Okay, well, let's work together. It's just a lot of talk. So the talk to me is exciting when it's said, but then it's like, okay, where's the action? And I am a big action person, and we all can talk, we all can say what we want to say, but once you take the action and I see the things being done, and that person is sitting with cannabis community leaders and business leaders and people from the culture who understand things, and he actively wants to understand how we get people out of jail, and right those wrongs. I mean, the list goes on, and you have to listen to the people who've been affected by this. And that is people who are low income, who are from communities, Black and brown, who are from areas that have been decimated by the war on drugs. So yes, we have a lot to do, and we have a lot to go, and no one can forget about the people who don't have a voice. And for me to have one, and for you to have one, and for anyone to come on the show to have one, we can never, ever forget about the people that allowed us to be here, and the ones that are still in jail, whose lives are still being fucked up because they can't get this thing right. And that's it, man. That's it for me. I love politicians. I love everybody, but I want the action.
Yeah, I hear you. Want the politicians to do their job. I get it. And
if I don't do my job, I don't have a business. But
I get you. Just some highlights of what is part of this co-sponsorship memo. So now he's looking for sponsors amongst his peers, and he's a Republican. So I think this is obviously a good thing. It's legalize adult use over 21. Establish a new regulatory control board, remove penalties for use and possession, protect the medical marijuana program, allow for legal purchase, possession of firearms, regardless of one's choice to use marijuana.
I fully stand behind that one.
Okay.
That makes it the best thing ever said by a politician so far. I'll give it that, because one of the biggest problems in Pennsylvania is sometimes people choose having their concealed carry permit over getting their medical marijuana card. And that, I think, is a sad thing. And so I appreciate you bringing that to my attention, because that is a pain point in Pennsylvania that is talked about in my business, in my communities, time and time again. And especially where we're at right now, it's been very intriguing to me how people have opted to have a gun license opposed to getting a license for medical marijuana, and I always say, listen, you got to weigh and determine which one's better for you. So that being a part of his I guess body of work for this bill would be great, because I think that's a detriment to the citizens of Pennsylvania, to where they have to make that choice, and it doesn't make sense to me, because everyone on that application lies, which is really funny, because in Pennsylvania you have to specifically check a box that says you don't use marijuana. And I mean, let's be real, we all know people that use marijuana, but no one really knows about it, so they could check no on that box so they can get their concealed carry permit. So people opt in more so to the traditional market because they don't have to deal with any bullshit. And instead of being able to get products from a dispensary that they might learn some more about, might be able to help them a little bit better, yada, yada, yada. So that's a great point. And shout out to this gentleman,
Mike Regan.
Mr. Mike Regan.
Yeah, Senator Regan. Also, got a couple more bullets for you. Provide for social equity, inclusion, and assistance for business entry into the industry. Address DUI enforcement. Develop education and deterrence for underage use and possession, and enhance Pennsylvania's agricultural industry. I'm all for education, okay? And I want education amongst kids too. And more importantly, there's something missing here. Okay. And I'm going to tell you what it is. And I'm going to give a plug to a great documentary that was produced by PBS and a woman by the name of Sarah Holt, which we interviewed a couple of weeks ago, about the cannabis question. That's what it's called. It's available on YouTube for Nova, and it's about research. And research is going to be so important so that the education that we are sharing with our young people, they do understand the dangers of alcohol. And DARE and MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, they did a great job of educating a lot of people about the dangers of alcohol. And we've seen a reduction of use of alcohol by minors. But what has happened is it's become more of a binge situation. And it's something I am scared to death of, because I lost a kid because of binge drinking. Not me personally, but I knew of someone. Let me rephrase that. My son is alive and well. Thank you very much. But the point is, drinking to excess can kill you, okay? Not smoking or inhaling weed to excess. It won't. And that has to be drilled into parents. It's time to talk to your kids about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You have a great opportunity now. You've added cannabis into the equation. There are benefits to this particular plant medicine that can enhance the parents' lives. Those need to be shared with the kids, as well as the dangers of overuse of cannabis, especially at a younger age when the brain is developing. But we need more research for that. So I'm just up on my little preacher bimmer, if you will. Spewing. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. Oh God, and I kicked my camera too. That's all right. That's what happens when I get excited, Will.
No, we got good energy on this conversation. And,
yes, we do. Well, it's because of the passion that both of us has for the cause. And I did not know half the things you just explained to me about Pennsylvania, which is why I love chatting with people, because every state has different rules and regulations, because we're all living under the federal illegality of this product. And you know what's going on in DC. And I'm going to bet that you're not too pleased about what's going on in DC right now either. Am I right?
Listen, the only way, a lot of people who I have tremendous respect for tell me is like, you got to free the plant. The plant should be free. You should be able to buy a seed and grow it in your backyard, like you can do in Massachusetts, and have, cultivars that are specific to you that help you improve the quality of your life, whether that is to entertain and develop a unique atmosphere for your friends, or to help you sleep, or to mitigate your pain, or whatever it might be. So until we absolutely free the plant, until there is no more illegality, until there is no more bullshit, the fight's never over. And once a state legalizes, the fight is almost just beginning, because you really have to figure all this stuff out. You guys are figuring it out still in Massachusetts. California is still figuring it out.
Right.
Their taxation's all wacky. All the people over there are always talking about, this is insane. This market's insane, and it's successful, and they're still doing well. So yeah, There's a lot of things that need to be fixed. And then who knows what happens when the federal government changes the status and the schedulization of cannabis, because the Schedule 1 status of the plant is a detriment to the entire industry. The Schedule 1 status is a detriment to the legacy and the traditional market, because a Schedule 1 substance is considered no medicinal value, a high potential for abuse, and you face a good amount of jail time if you're caught with those substances and doing particular things with those substances. So the schedulization is terrible. 280E is awful. You can't bank this stuff. You're seeing it all, right? So a lot needs to change. So the states are hopefully going to continue to improve their laws and open it up to legalization and do the right things with letting people out of jail and social equity and social justice and all the things that should and need to be done. At the same time, yes, there's a lot of things state to state that don't make sense. A lot of things the politicians will get wrong unless the people from the community help them get it right. And that's a big, firm stance that I have. And it sounds like this, memo or this bill that's coming out from,
Mike Regan.
Mike Regan.
Yep.
It's good. It's thoughtful. I'm excited to look into it more and see who helped guide this bill to, where it might be right now. And medical marijuana really shook up conservatives when mothers with sick children showed up at the Capitol building demanding medical marijuana be legalized. Because when you see a child who's suffering from debilitating conditions, whatever it might be, call it epilepsy, childhood, whatever it is that we've all seen, and cannabis can help improve the quality of their life, that is a big thing that changed the lawmaker's mind, is when those parents and those children showed up at the door and started to demand what they wanted and what they needed. And we need to get it even better because we need to make it more affordable, because a lot of times those families are paying a lot of money in healthcare costs and all types of costs. So I'm really grateful in Pennsylvania that we have a medical marijuana program. I'm really grateful that my company can help you access the medical marijuana program in Pennsylvania. Every resource is available. We have a fully automated platform that takes you from start to finish to see a doctor who will certify you for the program, and we help you along the way. And I've been grateful to do it for a lot of people, and it's not as hard as it seems. It's not as scary as it seems. And I'm really looking forward to the day we legalize and can look back on our conversation today and see how well we're doing.
Have you seen the documentary Weediatrics?
No, but I'm going to look into it.
It was actually produced by a talent in Philadelphia. And I'm actually looking for her name and I can't, but it is a great documentary and it outlines that story of parents who are willing to go to jail to make sure that the kids that they have get the medicine that they need. And of course, any parent knows you're going to give your own life for your own child. That is an unconditional love. That's part of being a parent. By the way, still the toughest job any of us ever have. Okay. And that being said, you will do whatever you need to do for your child forever. And that includes to break the law in order to get access to the medicine, the plant medicine. And they outline, she did a great job of telling the story of families that had to make those decisions. Do I break the law to get my child the medicine that they need in order to beat whatever it is, epilepsy? We've seen incredible anecdotal stories about people with autism. There's so many opportunities to do more and more research on what kind of properties that are buried in the beautiful trichomes and cannabinoids that make up this plant that can impact and save children's lives. And while I hear, what about the kids? What about the kids? Well, guess what? We want to get the kids the medicine they need. We also want to educate the people who keep asking about the kids, because it's obvious that the kids actually may know more about this plant than those who are worried about their futures. You agree with that, Will, or what?
I think that was beautifully put, my friend, because yes, kids are prescribed amphetamines, they're prescribed
Adderall. Thank you very much. Yep.
And antidepressants. And yeah, it makes me sad, and I've seen it. I've talked to people who have been over medicated for years, and with the assistance of cannabis have been able to come off of their pills and their regimen and their fog. And it's almost, the most beautiful thing when you see someone who can get rid of the things they don't need that make them not feel like their truest self, and see them blossom through the use of cannabis and plant medicine.
Absolutely.
In addition to that, the tie-in you said with children and autism has become much more of a topic of conversation in our community. And as of recently, we've had some parents reach out to us to discuss autism and plant medicine and how medical cannabis could potentially help their children, and also figure out how to do it properly and how to do it within the framework of the state that you live in. And what I mean by that is we service 2 states right now to facilitate and educate and make sure you get your entry into the medical marijuana program. And that's in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. And the conditions list for both of those states are very similar. And children have the ability to enter the program. So what I have to say about parents who have ever taken a risk or have ever had to break a law or have ever had to do something in the best interest of their children and their family and all these things, those people are absolutely heroes. Those people are doing the work that you do when your back's against the wall and you're willing to do anything in the world for your children, right? And I'm so grateful to know that people have taken risks for this plant. And I hope that people also know that there are others out there who will help navigate these areas. And there's people to talk to about these topics. And there's companies and professionals and organizations that are looking into these tie-ins. And, what you mentioned about research as well is super important, because the research is going to help us tap into what cannabinoid and what terpene profile and all these beautiful things that are found in the plant can help this particular condition, such as an autism condition. And then what formulations do we create with these cannabinoids and these terpene profiles to get the exact formulation down to a science, to where you can have predictability of the outcomes and a consistent effect. So for me, this is super exciting. It's very scientific. It's very spiritual. It's multidimensional, if you will, this plant. And it'll take us to places we've never seen before if we let it. And if we continue to get in the way of progress, then, we're just going to slow it down and we'll get there when we do. But this has been around long before any of us. The prohibition of the plant has been around for a certain period of time. That time is going to come to an end sooner than later. And then I hope we have it back to thousands of years to where this plant did nothing but heal and help the world.
100%. Will Edelstein, consultant, MMJ, patient card liaison, education events, business services. How do people find you in the Pennsylvania area?
JewishSauceBoss.com is our website, is our brand. You follow us on Instagram. We got a lot of great things to share and talk about. And, just tap in anytime you guys want to talk, anyone wants to reach out, happy to discuss all things cannabis. And Jimmy, I wanted to just give you some credit and thank you so much for inviting me on your show. And I will continue to support all that you do. And I'm really looking forward to watching more episodes and seeing the next guests that you have on.
Terrific. I appreciate your time, Will, and I look forward to developing more and more so we can all learn about the trials and tribulations and the movement that is happening in your state of Pennsylvania. So for Will Edelstein, I'm Jimmy Young from In the Weeds with Jimmy Young. Remember, it's a whole new world of weed out there. Use it responsibly. We'll see you next time. Weed Talk and In the Weeds are 2 productions of Pro Cannabis Media supported by Revolutionary Clinics, one of the top medical cannabis dispensaries in the Massachusetts area, now with 3 locations in Greater Boston, 2 in Cambridge and 1 on Broadway in Somerville. Rev Clinics has a patient-first mission. They will customize your needs as a medical patient with the proper titration and combination of strains, flavors, and products. Rev Clinics, where the patient comes first.
Hi, I'm Ben Shower, New England rep for Salient Video Management Systems. Let me tell you what makes us different in the security space. We're your trusted advisors for all your security needs. I know how complicated the regulations are in cannabis, and working with Salient Systems will be the polar opposite of that. I give free consultations and will walk you through every step of the process so that you can get what you need at the price you can afford. We're robust, we're simple and scalable. We're Salient Systems, your solutions to all your security needs. Please contact me at the information below, and I'm looking forward to being your trusted advisor.
Pro Cannabis Media programming is available live and on demand on our Facebook page at Pro Canna Media, on Instagram at Pro Cannabis Media, on LinkedIn also at Pro Cannabis Media, on YouTube and YouTube Live on Pro Cannabis Media, Twitter at Pro Canna Media, and on twitch.tv/Pro Cannabis Media. So like, share, and subscribe to all of our content, newsletters, and shows live or on demand.
We are Pro Cannabis Media.